Good afternoon, everyone. It's 25 past 5 on Friday, the 9th of July. So we've had quite a week of volatility, and that's certainly not slowing up any today. On the front page of VectorVest US, we have a situation where the short-term trend is still down. The underlying trend is up, and we've got a confirmed up in place. However, the buy-sell ratio is exceptionally weak, with more shares on a sell recommendation than a buy recommendation at 0.86. VectorVest does not advocate buying stocks at this time. I have been stopped out of quite a few spread bets, and maybe my stops were a bit too tight. Nevertheless, that's my process. I'll talk about them in a second. If we have a look at my old friend, the S&P 500, that's what we've had to deal with this week. This huge move down yesterday. Most of it happened in the pre-market, and then the reversal, and then the very strong move up this afternoon. If we have a look at that on the intraday market, you can actually see the volatility a little bit better. That's that move down yesterday, folks, and pushing up very strongly today. It seems to be pushing to me on the fourth attempt, which is always a good sign. Markets normally break on the fourth attempt, so a very strong end to the week. If we look at the VectorVest composite and we look at that, we can see the composites had a strong day. Remember, the composite is a much broader measure of the market than the S&P 500. It's also had a good day. It hasn't come anywhere near these last couple of highs. So as you can see, the buy-sell ratio well below 1. So as I said a second ago, many more shares on a sell than on a buy. So a weak market with limited participation. We, as always, need to be careful. If I have a look at the spread bets that I had running, let's chart them very quickly. This is a new one. I put this on Tuesday morning when the market opened. I like the look of this spring. Earnings per share is good. The valuation is good. So that's a new trade. And it did nothing after I put it on, and it's moved up a little bit today. That was a share that I spoke about at the VectorVest user Q&A session on Monday afternoon. It came out of my Midas Touch watch list from last weekend, so that's a new position. This is apps, and I was stopped out of apps during the course of the week. My entry point in apps ages ago was across here, and I made good money on half the position, got my stop loss up to entry, and I got stopped out on the second half of the position. That is my process. Many people said to me this morning, why didn't you take profits at 80? Well, I didn't know that at the time. Tesla got stopped out. That was my entry point just there. Made good money on half and got stopped out there on that one. Zoom is still running. Zoom is going well. My entry point is down here somewhere. The stops at entry, maybe a bit above entry. So Zoom is still going. Good money on Zoom. Growth generation is still going. That's the S&P again. And Palantir, I got stopped out at entry. So so the positions that I have running, or spread bets should I say, are growth generation, Zoom, and the new one, ANAT. And I have another new one we'll talk about on Monday afternoon. Looks absolutely marvelous. It was spotted by Nigel from Deal in Kent. And we'll talk about that on Monday afternoon. Looks absolutely wonderful. I still haven't bought into it because I'm waiting for the color guard to actually say yes. If we go back now to this, still is pushing up. The day that was the open. That's a 5-minute chart, folks. And I applied a little bit of rocket science again today, and I bought the break of the first 5 minutes high just there. And there was an inside bar which added to the conviction, and it moved up quite nicely. There was 20 points in that so far. So I think I'll bank those soon, because I've been looking at this half the week. Yesterday, short there, and got stopped out on these highs. Changed my mind, so that was a loser. Got back in there again as it broke up through that high, took a few ticks there, and then was short into that little bit. So kept myself busy, but I'm not going to trade much later than now. I've been sitting watching. This is why the video's late. I've been sitting watching that all afternoon. It's not for everybody, sitting watching 5 minute bars. Nevertheless, it's been very profitable. I've enjoyed it, I must admit. I've done more of it in the last year than I've done in the last 10 years, because I haven't been traveling. But I must admit, I miss the traveling, I miss getting out, and I miss getting to seeing the VectorVest customers around the country. I really do. So in the UK, well, I've really done nothing, and the UK positions, folks, are paid for. They're not spread bets, they're not leveraged, and they've been running well. The stop losses are well above entry, apart from Persimmons, which is still at the initial entry, at the initial stop loss. That one still hasn't gone up. And I'm reasonably pleased with the lot. As you can see, there was nothing but red ink yesterday, and well, what can you do when the market sells off like that? The FTSE's well up today, and I see that the metal stocks, or the base metal stocks, have done reasonably well today. BlackRock World Minerals is back up today. The only one that hasn't done well today is this Italia Mining. So that needs to be watched. It's on a sell recommendation, and I shall just simply get rid of the thing if I have to. It still looks very good to me down around here, down around these levels. And as we discussed, that 300 level is quite important. So as long as it doesn't break down much below yesterday's low, I shall do my best to try and sit in it. Markets love to come down and run all these levels before turning again, and as I think one of our customers, Paul, pointed out on Monday, the stochastic's in the right place for a turn here. So give that the benefit of the doubt for a day or two. I think if you own the stock, you can give it a benefit of the doubt for a day, but if you've got a spread bet with leverage, my word, you've got to run quickly. So absolutely nothing done there. Persimmons scared us yesterday on a bad day. I thought the results were really good. The market was a little worried that some of their costs have risen, and that was going to degrade from margins going forward. So it was down, as you can see, 4.79% yesterday, but it's made up 2.5% of that today. So it's back above £30 today. The dividend yield going forward, according to the journalist in the Times today, is 8%. So we're getting paid to wait. I'll go through these all in detail on a Monday afternoon coming. Before we go, I know that you're not going to be happy unless you see the gold market, and folks, a weekly close above 1800 would be really very positive for the gold market. As you can see, there's tails in the candles here, so clearly at that high, lots of people, in fact, using that level to short the market. But a weekly close above 1800 would be very positive indeed. If you haven't got into the gold market, if you are not an aggressive investor, then just sit and wait. I think if it takes out these levels, as I mentioned the other day, gets up to about 1950 odd, then I think even the most conservative investors should have a gold position on. So those of you that are more aggressive could certainly look at a gold position if you saw it breaking above this week's high. Okay, so that's a very positive close above 1800. Very positive weekly close for gold, coming off this 62% retracement. So that's looking good, and I see polymetal is up a little bit today. It's sitting yeah, about not much, I don't think. It's sitting pretty much where it was yesterday, but as you can see, it's still well above this 62% retracement, and it's sliding along this top trend line, and to me that's saying to me that there's actually smart money accumulating this where this resistance has now become support. So that looks very good to me, and certainly if you are an aggressive investor that's got some experience in managing risk, picking up some polymetals at this level is probably a good idea. If you're a conservative investor, wait for the gold market to get up to about 1950, and then it should really take off towards 2300. That's my best shot at it. The volatility has been something this week, as I try and tell all the VectorVest users that as soon as you press that little button and you get into a position, you're no longer an analyst, you're a risk manager. At the moment, my process is if I risk £1 on a share, if the share makes me £1, in other words, if I buy it at 10 and it stops at 9, if it goes to 11, I take a profit on half and I bring the stop loss to entry, and that's the process that I applied, not with those numbers obviously, in PLTR, apps and Tesla, and I got stopped out on the second half of the position. Made a little bit of money on the first half, got stopped out in the second half of the position, and that process over the last few months, since March, when the American market has been going sideways, has in fact kept me profitable. Last year, when the market was just going, I would have made more money hanging on to the full position, but I didn't know that then. So it is a reasonable way to manage trades. I think that in a really great market, holding the full position and certainly adding to the position will make you much more money. But in a miserable market like this that's beating itself sideways, the trade management method that I suggest seems to be working very well. I'll see you all Monday afternoon as normal. Any of you that haven't got an invite, give me a shout. David.Paul@vectorvest.com. Thanks very much. Bye bye.